friends, and welcome to Pod Return to the Waking Sands. We are a Final Fantasy XIV companion podcast where we explore the lore and story of Hydaelyn and beyond. My name is Jen, and I'm joined by my co-host and researcher.
I'm Levi.
Hello, Levi.
Hello, Jen.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's good. How are you?
Nice. It's good.
It's good. How's the new year so far?
It's been some hours.
Yep.
Into the new year.
Mm-hmm.
It's all good so far.
Mm-hmm. Same. Yep.
Did that joke already during our run, so kind of
we
cheap
have to
to
make
recycle
it. We've only made it like twice in one day.
Yeah.
I think get it out of your system. So maybe one more time, and then we'll be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, today we are talking about the Wanderer's Palace level 50 optional dungeon. We got a little taste of this palace, Jen, back in the day during the Scholar quest line. Mm-hmm. When we ventured into it in pursuit of a Tonberry.
Yeah. We only went in like a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
To uncover some mysteries.
Since it's been a while, the Wanderer's Palace is a Nymian ruin that was formerly submerged beneath Bronze Lake. When the calamity struck, the earth beneath the lake was rent and connections were opened between the lake and the kobold tunnels below, causing the lake to partially drain into said tunnels. The receding waters revealed the ruins of Nymian structures, including the Wanderer's Palace. The palace, though, was sealed by design by the Nymians. During the 5th Astral Era, the Nymians brought back a cursed urn, and when the curse was released, it transformed these Lalafels into Tonberries.
Correct. So that's not at all what I thought a Tonberry was. And I remember being extremely aghast at this revelation. So it was, let me see if I can just try to remember the details of that. So some of these people were trying to find like a cure for whatever this was. This was like a sickness that was running through. They considered it a sickness.
Yes.
And some people... So they evacuated, right? And they kept the people who were sick quarantined inside?
No, they stuck everyone inside. Everyone who was exposed to the plague was stuck inside.
Right. It's like District 9.
To prevent it.
Right.
So the opposite of an evacuation.
Okay. So, I mean, like, people who weren't, like, fled and everybody else was, like, dead, they forced everybody else in there.
Yes.
So
and
then people
were
trying to work on
away the plague victims in the palace. That's it.
Okay.
There's no happy ending.
Just like have fun.
They got sealed away and they all transformed into Tonberries and they went mad with rancor.
Yep. Just the total betrayal.
The end.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
So a little bit about Tonberries in general, Jen, because it's going to come into play during this dungeon. Tonberries are classic Final Fantasy enemies that have bulbous, scaly heads and are swaddled in thick robes. They generally pack a lantern and a chef's knife. In the single-player Final Fantasy games, these enemies usually appear alone, and they will gradually advance across the battlefield towards the player's party, and then if they get too close, they start shanking people, and they do a ton of damage. So you usually want to try and take them out before they get too close to you. They also have another mechanic called Everyone's Grudge. Everyone's Grudge is essentially a damaging attack that will deal damage to you based on how many enemies you've killed in that game. So the more people you've killed and like random encounters or whatever, the more damage you take.
Yeah, I think
Both
that's great.
Both of these things will come into play during this run.
Yes, they will.
So here we go, Jin, the Wanderer's Palace. It gains its name because the palace seems to be actually more of a temple or other holy site to Ashan, the Wanderer, who is one of the 12.
Yes, he is. We know him very well.
We do not, Jen.
Yeah, no, we don't. We don't know shit.
And we learn about this opportunity, this dungeon delving opportunity, from an eye-patched healer named Aline in Vesper Bay.
Yeah, so she's been chilling out behind the Waking Sands for probably months now, in like game time. Like we've done a lot of shit and she's just been chilling. So there's this blue quest that's behind the Waking Sands, and we go talk to her. And she's a little beat up. She looks like she escaped an infirmary. Because she did. Spoilers. So what she says, she was treasure hunting with her, quote-unquote, feller. And so, the calamity drained Bronze Lake. It exposed this temple, but she's like, it's actually a palace, and there's like so much cool shit in there. Like, you would think it'd be all like waterlogged and slimy and stuff, but it totally isn't. It's kind of amazing. So there's like gold framed mirrors and jewelry.
Bright as the moon, Jen.
Bright as the moon. And I gazed upon myself dripping in pearls.
Chains of pearl.
And me and my feller ball danced on malachite floors. Like we felt like a queen and a king. Me and my feller. So she's like, I am sharing this information with you, adventurer, because who doesn't like treasure? And I'm immediately like, why the fuck would you share this information? But thanks, I'll check it out. And she tells us to go see her former companion, Abazi Chirazi, at Bronze Lake. He's the ferryman, and he will take us there.
So we hop over to Bronze Lake, and we find this Lalafell hanging out in some ruins right by a ferry, right by a boat. He tells us that Aline's full of shit. She is lying to us.
Yeah.
She has been encouraging adventurers to go delving inside this ruin with tales of treasure, when in fact she wants them to hopefully find her lost companion, her lost feller, inside this place. And he tells us that both he, Abazi, and Aline were in the same group, the same adventuring party, as was this feller. They went into the palace hoping to find some treasure, and they were immediately set upon by a Tonberry, and they were scattered. Only Abazi and Aline made it out, and everyone else is dead or missing. There's no treasure there, only death.
Yep.
And Aline tried at first asking nicely for help and going to investigate this place, but no one took the offer. So now she started lying to people, telling them about all these riches to be found, hoping that they survive the attempt and that somehow her feller's alive in there and that they can bring him back.
Yeah. She's a little delusional. And so when it's like, she's standing up before us trying, sharing the story of this amazing place full of treasure and stuff. She's like, she looks like hell. And it's because she was like going crazy in the infirmary. She's like, I gotta get out of here and save my people. And yeah, like that didn't work. So she was relying on trickery.
Yeah.
And Abazi is a little upset that she's doing this.
Well, he warns us. He's like, all right, well, I warned you, but if you
want
to go, then I'll take you.
Obviously, like we're how many times have we talked to somebody in the front of a dungeon and they're like, there's nothing but death in there. Why are you going to go? This is at least the second one.
Third, because there is
Cutter's Cry.
Cutter's Cry and Arum Vale are both like that.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Yeah. Halatali maybe a little bit.
Halatali was doing a public service, at least. It was a
true, yeah.
Kind of like you might die in there, but it's for a reason.
It's for a good cause.
Yes.
Yeah. And then these are just like, don't go in there.
Yeah.
Well, you dumb? Don't go in there. Like, we're gonna go in there.
So that unlocks the dungeon.
Yep. There we go.
Thank you to the listeners who joined us on this minimum item level run. We had Aroki Finan on Red Mage and Calidus Caddis as Scholar.
Nice.
Thank you for the thematic job choice.
Yeah.
I played Warrior and Jen played Bard.
Yes. With my in process, relic weapon attached, because this was one of our book things that we had to do.
Yep.
So that's done. Yay!
See you for the relic in a long time.
Yep.
Some months from now.
That was the second book out of 9. It'll be a bit.
We enter the palace, grand stone ruins that are overgrown with plant life. We immediately see a pair of treasure hunters, other victims of Aline, I'm assuming, that are rushing a Tonberry. They slay it and brag about how easy the fight was.
Yeah.
That was nothing.
Yeah.
And then immediately after that, a massive Tonberry, probably 15 feet tall, appears and attacks them, ultimately slaying them.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, whoa, that was... Yeah. So that's what we're getting into.
Yeah, the big ones, the big Tonberries, are Tonberry stalkers. These are kind of the reproduction of the Tonberry pursuit mechanic, like slow advancement mechanic in this dungeon, because these things cannot be attacked. They are invulnerable. However, they will slowly make their way towards you, and if they catch you, they'll stab you a bunch.
And it's a tremendous amount of damage. I think one hit was about 75% of my health.
Yeah, at minimum eye level, yes.
Yeah. And it's terrifying. I don't know what's scarier, Wanderer's Palace or like Amnesia. You're like the game. Because you can hear the footsteps in the game as you're fighting mobs, and whenever you hear the shuffling of one of these massive stalkers behind you, and you're like, we gotta go, go. It's like that, like the snail that is pursuing you for the rest of your life. What is that thing like? You get like $1 billion, but then there's a snail somewhere on Earth. If it touches you, you die. So there's always this feeling that there's something after you, slowly closing the distance. Death imminent. It's a really like visceral fear, which I don't like at all. There was one time in Wanderer's Palace, and I don't know if you were probably there, but we could not shake these guys. I don't know what it was. I remember just having a really hard time. Like you're supposed to kite them, and you just. Anyway, this is a stupid story. I don't know the details. I just remember we could not get ahead of these things. It was really bad.
They are never an issue, frankly, if you are geared with poetics or better, like with a Realm Reborn poetic gear or better, because you will do enough damage that you will cut through the groups before it matters. However, it's a different story on min eye level, because it will get close and they will hurt for a lot if they got you.
Yeah.
So anyway, once the stalker slays these poor treasure hunters, it now begins to pursue us. And again, it's a very slow pace. They don't speed up until they actually get near
Lock
you.
on, yeah.
But they will slowly and relentlessly move towards you through the halls of the dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
So we proceed deeper inside, fighting Tonberries and a few assorted animals. At min eye level, Jen, we had to single pull these packs. One group of 3 enemies was putting my tank health to the brink.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Yeah. These were beefy mobs for sure. One group at a time, which was 3.
Yep.
That's as good as it gets.
Past those groups of enemies, though, we come across a rectangular room with a rectangular pool in the center of it. And in this room, some of the stone wall has crumbled away, revealing churning gears beyond the wall. So here's the tip that there's some other mechanisms going on inside the dungeon, which we will encounter in a little bit. But still, alive and well, working fully, despite all these years.
Tonberries, when they're not murdering intruders, they still got shit to do.
Apparently.
Yeah. They're not going to just hang out sharpening knives. They're gonna
that's quite an assumption, Jen.
Maintain the household,
if you say so.
I guess.
We cannot confirm or deny this theory.
That's correct,
by the way.
This is mine.
Anyway, in this room there is a chest, like a treasure coffer, which will have some relic weapon gear in it. This is where you go for that first stage kind of crafting your relic template type stuff.
Yeah, like the bow rim and shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This dungeon. So you can get some relic stuff from this coffer if you take a small detour across the room. Otherwise, we will proceed and reach a large open area that is open to the sky. This is a raised courtyard that is surrounded by a large pool being fed by waterfalls. In this courtyard is our first boss, the Keeper of Halidom. It's a Gubu.
It's a Gubu.
Incidentally, Halidom means holiness or sanctity. So maybe this is a divine guardian of Ashan's temple. Or maybe it's just a big Gubu that the treasure hunters named that because they're feeling fanciful.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, this place is very pretty.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
So we fight the Gubu.
Yep.
We fight the Keeper.
Yeah, he breathes on us.
He does.
Yeah.
Like most bosses, he's got some cleaves, so don't stand by the tank. And then he has Moldy Sneeze, which is a frontal attack that does a good amount of damage and inflicts reduced immunity on the target, hopefully the tank. This is a healing down debuff, so you receive less healing. Then there is Gubu's Grief, which is a cloud of like poison all around it, which does damage over time to everyone. This can be Asuned off. It looked to me like there was a lot of debuff whack-in and healing going on the healer side.
Totally.
Because the sneeze attack doubles as a tank buster, so you get this debuff and also take a bunch of damage at once too, so it's quick, cure the thing, then spam heals afterwards.
Yeah.
Otherwise, some AoEs, no big deal. Slay the Gubu, moving on.
Yep.
And we press forward into the inner halls beyond and come across a lone Tonberry. We kill it, no big deal. But when we slay it, it drops some lantern oil.
Hey. Guess we'll pick that up. Might be useful later.
So this is the tutorial for the dungeon's main gimmick, well, other one besides the stalkers, which are the lantern oil and the rusted, like, crank wheels.
Yep.
So throughout the dungeon going forward, there will be these kind of lantern-lit crank wheels, just like a turn crank, and they'll be rusted. And you'll have to apply the oil to them to de-rust them. So you need to go and collect this oil from various enemies, and then you'll need to apply it to these wheels, then turn them to open doors to proceed.
Yeah.
At first, it's like, kill a guy, there's a rusted crank wheel right in front of you. What do we do here?
Yeah.
But going forward, though, it's going to become more of a treasure hunt to find this oil.
And then backtrack a bit to figure out where the wheels are.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then avoiding stalkers the whole time.
And the main place this comes into play is in this upcoming room. After passing through a set of doors, we enter a great interior hall. This is essentially a rectangular room with a large raised platform in the center that is surrounded by a chasm. At the perimeter of the room, there is a walkway that connects to the central platform intermittently by stairways that span the gap.
Mm-hmm.
The degradation in the palace, though, has caused portions of the room to collapse, meaning that we'll have to move between the central platform and the outer perimeter platform back and forth, trying to circumnavigate these collapsed sections.
Yeah.
We have to, in this room, apply 3 lantern oils to various wheels throughout the area, all the while being chased by like 3 different Tonberry stalkers that have different patrol routes throughout the room.
Correct.
So we're going to fight some Nymian ghosts, small Tonberries, and skeletons, as well as we dodge around the area, killing Tonberries, stealing the oil, applying the oil to the things, and then trying to evade the stalkers.
The skeletons are called Nym soldiers, I think.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, okay.
Which is interesting because
Yeah.
they are like full-size skeletons.
Yeah.
So
this is probably 5th Umbral era circa people.
correct. Yes.
Yeah. Who are now guardians of the temple as undead.
Yes.
Cool. Which would you rather be? A skeleton Nym soldier or a Tonberry? Probably Tonberry.
Probably the skeleton Nym soldier.
Really?
Well, it depends on if they are
what level
like,
of sentience?
Right, that's the question.
Yeah.
Are they just kind of like animated husks, or are they possessed?
Do they like have all of their memories from the before times?
Yep.
Yeah, interesting.
That's the question.
Yeah. Don't know.
Anyway, so we run around a lot and we collect some oil and we do a lot of backtracking and apply the oil. And then the doors out of here finally open and we escape. We can run into more treasure hunting adventurers as well in the big room. They are being attacked by a stalker. It does not end well for them.
Yeah, we avoid them. They've made their bed. They can lie in it.
They have.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that door, we run into the second boss, the giant Bavarois.
Bavarois, yeah, the big dessert.
Exactly. So this is just an upsized slime,
Gelato.
and we fight it. This is an ads fight mainly. The boss doesn't do much besides spam fire at you, and then on occasion it'll mark one other player and then focus fire on them.
Yeah, Oroki got by this twice, and it was really funny because we didn't know what to do with this. Yeah, they got by this twice, and the first time we didn't know what we were doing, and they died, and we had a good laugh, and then they got by it a second time. So that was really the biggest deal mechanic. Everything else is just
well, except for the pile of ads that come out. Jen.
Well, correct, but they're kind of no big deal, in my opinion.
They're no big deal if you focus fire on them like we did.
Okay.
But if you don't, then the white ad, the white slime, will cast Blizzard, which deals heavy to you.
Oh, that happened to me.
And then the green one does wind burn, which is a dot, and the purple one does paralysis. Some bad times. Yes.
Yeah.
So
is all of that Isuna-able if you get hit by it?
I believe so.
Okay.
But still, it's a lot going on at once. Best just to focus them if possible and not let them get those spells out.
Yeah, we did have an order of operations, so that's important to communicate to your team. Focus fire on one and move on systematically.
After we defeat the Bavarois, we will press on now into a series of hallways and stairways, fighting Tonberries, ghosts, skeletons, and seizing some more oil to use it before a Tonberry stalker catches up to us.
Oh boy.
And this is where the pursuit mechanic paid off because we were fighting a group of enemies, again, single pulls only on the min-eye level run. We were fighting a group, and then a stalker pops up from behind us and shanks Oroki immediately.
Yeah. It was a huge hit. And so this was a little Jackety Sax moment. We're all like running up and down this hallway, like swapping aggro, so then people could heal and run around.
Yep.
While still trying to kill the mobs we were working on before the stalker showed up.
And we had one more group though to kill, and then we had to open to oil the mechanism, then open the door.
Yeah.
From there, so it was pretty hairy with that stalker being in our shit.
Yeah, we had to still kill the mobs. We had to collect the lantern oil, kite this guy around the room, kill the other mobs, oil the shit. And at this point, all of you had died, and we're running back to the area, and I was just hanging out. I feel bad because I was just waiting for you guys to return, and I didn't want to aggro the dude. So I just grabbed the lantern oil and I parked it. But what I could have done is turn the fucking wheel so we could have... So, yeah.
Yeah, Jen.
I know. So you guys show up, and then we run back there, and the stalker is still around, of course.
What happened, though, was that the stalker had resumed his path down the hallway towards the end, and Oroki had parked at the very end.
Yeah! It got them, and they let out this amazing, like, scream. Because it's like, again, it's the fear of God. So they let out this amazing yelp and were running around, and it was a good time.
Once we grease up the final gears and escape into the last chamber, the stalker abandons it and goes back to its hidey hole, leaving us with the final boss, the Tonberry King.
Yeah, we were, sorry, before we opened the door, this had been such a traumatic ordeal. When we finally did open that final door, we're like, go, 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 go. And I wasn't sure if the Tonberry would follow us. I'm like, he's too fat for the door, right? He's too fat. He was. We were safe for now.
He just bowed to the king, Jen.
Did he?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You can't, he's like, you guys got your own problems. You've got King Tonberry over here.
So this is a large Tonberry in regal red robes with white trim. This is a former Nymian high mage transformed into a Tonberry. But these are high mage's robes, Jen, not a king's.
Oh.
It's just mage robes.
Confusing. Okay.
It's just the style at the time, Jen.
Right. Just a big golden crown with red velvet and ermine lining. Totally mage garb.
Nymian Mage Jin. Don't apply your cultural biases to this other kingdom.
I apologize. I am very ignorant. I admit it.
Okay, so we fight the king. This one is where it really ramps up the classic Tonberry mechanics. At the very beginning, we're going to pull the king and fight him, no big deal. That happens. However, then little Tonberry ads start spawning in. Mm-hmm. Normally, you want to kill the ads. Don't kill the ads.
Don't do it.
Because the king will cast Everyone's Grudge. Every time you kill one of the Tonberry ads, it gives a stack of rancor to the king. So when he casts the Grudge spell, then all players will take damage commensurate with the amount of ads they've killed.
Mm-hmm. Fitting.
Yes.
Totally appropriate.
Do not kill them.
Yep. You're just going to have to run around as the Tonberries just keep increasing in number.
Yes. And that will keep happening. So you'll go back and forth across the arena, kind of carving out safe spaces as more and more of them appear. But when the king gets low on health, then the slashers start to appear too. So the giant Tonberries will now appear, and they do a lot of damage if they hit.
Yep. This got ridiculous. So roundabout, I think when the boss was at like around maybe like 15-20%, there were a few dozen Tonberries in the arena chasing after us. It looked, it was a nightmare. And Aroki made a comment. They said that while this was a horrifying thing to witness, the cumulative sound of all their little tippy taps running around the arena dispelled some of the horror a bit. And I would agree. It was pretty funny. And their little tails.
Our healer died, for sure. Did you die, Jen?
I did not die.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
So I had popped my invulnerability when the king was down to like 2% health.
Yeah.
And I was spamming range attacks because I could not stop moving because there were so many Tonberries around. And I was kept alive only by virtue of the invulnerability as the king got knocked down that final little bit of health.
It was rough, man.
Yeah. No, with that minimum eye level.
Mm-hmm. We really had to try.
Yeah. But we did it. So we kill the king. We are victorious. That's the end.
That's that.
End of the dungeon.
I did go back to talk to Aline.
I did also because I was like, okay, so
I need closure here.
There's nothing about this missing feller whatsoever.
Right.
There's no this feels like it's made for a quest chain that will be okay. You go to the dungeon,
yes,
that checks off the quest step, then you leave, and now you talk to Aline again.
Maybe
or whatever.
You find like a journal page from her feller that indicates that maybe they at some point. They were alive for a little bit. Maybe they aren't anymore, but the mystery deepens and you go back and you're like, all right, bitch, I'm onto you. But there is evidence that your guy may still be alive. Like, what do? Like, yeah, that could have been a thing.
But no, if you go back and talk to her, she's still trying to sell you on this treasure-filled dungeon.
Like, that Wanderer's Palace sounds pretty great, right? Yeah,
and
you should check it out.
If you talk to the fairy guy, Abazi, he just says, don't go in there. So no one updates their dialogue after you've cleared the dungeon.
I know. I was hoping for a little green check quest from Aline so we could, give her what for.
Yes, but no. So it just ends. No sign of this guy yet. We will be back, though, for Wanderer's Palace Hard in a little time.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get to check in on the next stage of the dungeon's evolution then. Anyway, Jen, how was that? How was your wandering?
It was great. I enjoyed... It's not a dungeon that I've done a lot. Maybe twice in like a random ass leveling or something. The Tonberries are scary. And I remember my first time in that dungeon, we totally got chased down by stalkers a few times. And I think it forever cemented that dungeon as a place not to go. Kind of like in my early days of playing like Zemail Darkhold, like I didn't understand the Crystal Veil, debuff, buff thing. I'm like, this dungeon sucks. And So I'm glad we went in there at minimum eye level again, because you are capable
to face your fears.
Exactly. And I remember the center section where you're in all of these. It's almost like labyrinthian with these, the platforms and the stairs and whatever, and you're trying to progress while also avoiding the stalkers. And I remember that being an absolute shit show, because we were like, what do we do? We've got these turny bits. And it must have been me and a bunch of sprouts that didn't know what the fuck, because we were in there for a while. It was scary. This was great. It was really fun. We're all like, oh my God, we're going to get caught. And we're running around and killing stuff. And yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, good time.
Mm-hmm.
That center section is a pain in the butt if you are trying to speedrun this.
Oh my God.
Because we'll be here multiple times for the relic. And if you get it in just even like LDR, the roulette, and you're trying just to go through quickly, it's always like, okay, so which of these paths has the oil down it? Then you got to backtrack and so on. It just adds a bit of friction to like a speed run.
Yep.
But it is fun to engage with when you're doing it legit for the first time or the first couple times.
Yeah,
because then there's
like
some problem solving in
around
there. Yeah, it's a thing where the current dungeon format, the hallway dungeon format, is very easy for like running roulettes, because whatever you do, you'll just press forward pretty much and kill 2 packs of enemies, and then bam, there you go. And for these ones, the Realm Reborn dungeons, which have a lot more complexity to them like this, it's less fun to redo, but it's a lot more fun to do the first time.
Yes. It's all doable, but so it's kind of solving this little puzzle, I suppose. But now with the added bonus of these, like, it's not really something that this game does anywhere else, where it's got something like stalking you, you know, like you have to avoid this thing like locking eyes and
it's a good adaptation of the Tonberry concept, I think, for what 14 is.
It's great. So the Tonberry lore, the fact that, they used to be Lalafels, they all got, sick and became Tonberries. Is that how, and I think I asked this in the Scholar episode too, is that the lore in all of the other Final Fantasies? Okay. And we're going to go back to the Scholar episode, and I'm going to have the same exact exchange with you because I forgot. But I love that, because I think this is a really, for like, well, okay, Final Fantasy 14, guys, we're all sitting around the table. We're like, how are we going to explain Tonberries this time? And that was their solution. Amazing. Like, holy shit. It totally checks out. And it's fucked up.
I don't think they get explained in general. There are piles of random enemies out there that just appear in places. Course.
Yeah, but the fact that they chose to elaborate so much more on the Tonberries and like this was a people, this was a civilization. Amazing.
It's good. Good stuff. Any other comments, Jen?
Nope, other than there's some sweet candelabras in there, and I hope that they are a housing item, because I would like them, but that's all.
Cool. Next time we are resuming the main story quest.
Wow.
We'll be picking up with the patch 2.2 MSQ.
And that will do it for today's episode. A little bit of a shorter thing, but we're just coming off a coil, so we deserve it. Thanks again to the guys who joined us for the run, and thank you all for listening. If you want to get in touch, you can at podreturnffxiv@gmail.com. Check the show notes for our Discord. You can show up, join us for group runs, talk about glams, share your glams, talk about stuff, whatever. It's an amazing group of people. And we also have our Patreon, patreon.com/podreturnffxiv. If you want to throw us a buck, you gain access to some bonus episodes that we release about monthly, that are seasonal events, some Final Fantasy related games in the real world, like the trading card game, and other such things. So check that out. And with that, we hope you enjoyed the episode. Have a good day or night, and we will see you next time.